Socrates, the famous Greek philosopher and teacher, opposed democracy. This is a fact that surprises many people. After all, Socrates was known for questioning the leaders and elites of Athens, so it seems logical to assume he would support a system where everyone has a say in choosing the nation's leaders. But no. So why not? Democracy is often considered the pinnacle of political systems. It's supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, for the people. Yet not everyone throughout history has agreed with this sentiment. One of the earliest and most influential critics of democracy was the philosopher Socrates. Unlike modern politicians who claim to champion the will of the people, Socrates feared the will of the people. He believed that giving power to the uninformed masses was not only dangerous but potentially catastrophic. Whenever I read newspapers and see dumb ways American men have died, it always reminds me of Socrates' belief that the general public shouldn't be given the right to vote. Socrates compared democratic voting to allowing a group of untrained sailors to steer a ship. Would you let a random selection of passengers decide how to navigate a ship in a storm? Or would you want a trained captain at the helm with decades of experience steering ships? In Socrates' view, society was no different. Political decisions required wisdom, education, and experience, traits he believed the general public did not possess. Selecting a leader should not be a popularity contest, in his view. Today, many of Socrates' concerns remain valid. As social media, misinformation, and polarized ideologies dominate, it's fair to question whether the average voter is truly equipped to make decisions that shape the future of their country. On both the far right and far left of the political spectrum, there is a worrying trend of poor critical thinking and reasoning, a lack of basic knowledge, and vulnerability to manipulation. The far right is mainly populated by disaffected men who tend to be undereducated, with poor literacy levels, social ineptitude with few friends in real life, and mental health problems. These men spend more time gaming than reading books about history, philosophy, and economics. Many are depressed and rely on conspiracy theories to boost their egos. They allow the echo chambers of depressed, rejected men to shape their worldviews, leaving them hostile, suspicious, and intellectually disengaged. The stereotype of the far right is that they are uneducated, unintelligent, illiterate, and spread misinformation via memes and copy-pasting the same old tired, misogynistic comments, blaming women for rejecting them. Everything revolves around what is best for them, rather than the best interests of others and their country. On the other hand, the far left also tends to lack critical thinking skills and basic knowledge. This is particularly troubling, as people on the left are more likely to attend college or university, and they still graduate uninformed, relying on social media and far-left politicians to shape their world views. Like the far right, those on the far left are more likely to have mental health problems and be dissatisfied with their place in society. While the far left attracts those who do pursue formal education, many of these institutions increasingly push a far left ideological bias, manipulating young minds into voting left. Universities were once considered bastions of critical thinking, but they are now seen by many as environments that mainly exist to push a narrow set of values onto youth. Instead of open discourse, students are encouraged to adopt far-left beliefs without questioning them. As a result, young people support policies that seemingly contradict each other. For example, they promote welfare benefits and education for asylum seekers, while simultaneously protesting against tax increases, failing to grasp the economic contradictions. Taxpayers fund asylum seekers, so funding welfare and education increases taxes. You can't push for refugees to receive more funding and push for lower taxes. If you support refugees, then you're agreeing to pay higher taxes to support them. This reflects another issue Socrates would recognize: emotional decision-making. Modern voters often choose parties and policies not on understanding, but on personal identity, peer pressure, and emotion. Young people in particular are susceptible to trusting authority figures, such as university professors, without critically assessing the validity of what they are taught. Young people vote left, even though left ideologies cripple the young by trapping them in a system of ever-increasing government spending, which they will fund through their taxes. So what can be done? If democracy allows the uninformed to vote with the same weight as the informed, can we really expect sensible outcomes? One idea could be to rethink who is actually allowed to vote. Most developed nations have set a minimum voting age of 18 to ensure a basic level of maturity before making such an important decision. However, countries like Austria and Germany allow voting from the age of 16, an age at which many are still in school and may not yet have developed critical reasoning skills and be able to make sound political choices. Decreasing the voting age to 16 in Austria and Germany was a move pushed by far-left politicians, as they knew naive young teenagers are far more likely to vote left. This raises a valid question. Would it make more sense to raise the voting age to, say, 25, when people are more likely to have life experience, work exposure, maturity, and a better understanding of economic realities, such as where their taxpayer funds go? Another option would be to introduce basic competence tests, not to exclude people based on intelligence, but to ensure they understand key principles before voting. A civic literacy or reasoning test could prevent individuals from voting for policies that are economically or socially incoherent. Such a system would reduce the influence of both far-right conspiracy theorists and far-left supporters who are disconnected from practical realities. A further issue concerns immigrant voting rights. In many countries, new arrivals can vote in elections shortly after gaining residency or citizenship. While inclusive, this practice can dramatically shift election outcomes. Immigrants sway votes and affect the ability of citizens to make decisions about their own country. This can result in demographic manipulation. What if we replaced demographic elections with rule by experts? This is when a selection of economists, scientists, political philosophers, and so on make decisions on behalf of the people rather than relying on the general public casting votes. While experts might be much better informed, how do we then protect against corruption? History shows that even well-meaning leaders who promote empathy become authoritarian dictators once given unchecked power. Sadly, the power goes to their heads and they act in their own best interests. Socrates may have preferred this concept of rule by the wise, but without accountability, even the wise can fall prey to greed and self-interest. So perhaps a hybrid approach is best, one where democratic participation is preserved, but refined. Voting rights could be given to those who possess a civic understanding, a minimum level of education, and are citizens by birth. Panels of experts could advise elected officials and help set constraints on illogical and contradictory policies. Importantly, Western nations must invest in improving public education so that future generations, whether left or right, are better equipped to think critically and vote responsibly. In the end, Socrates may have been right to mistrust unfiltered democracy, but rather than abandon democracy, we should consider elevating it by ensuring the power to vote is matched by the wisdom to use that vote well. Stay strong.